everyone. Welcome back to the NAMI of Santa Clara County podcast. My name is Niku. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm currently the high school intern at NAMI of Santa Clara County. I'm so excited to be joined here with Yesenia. Yesenia, could you please give us an introduction and some background information about yourself?
Absolutely. Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Yesenia Solorio. My pronouns are she, her. I'm so glad to be on. And a little bit about myself. I've always been an advocator. Coming from an immigrant Hispanic household, we had no choice other than to advocate for our loved ones, which is probably the primary reasons. I think there was many, but the primary reasons why I was motivated to actually become part of the NAMI family.
That sounds really great. I love the kind of mental health advocacy field and just advocacy work in general. So I'm super excited to learn about a little bit more about what you had specifically in mind. What did you think you were going to be when you were younger?
That is a very interesting question. I think besides wanting to be a garbage pail kid collector, I thought that was going to be what I was going to be doing my entire life, is just collect garbage pail kid cards. I don't think that there was something specific in mind. I think my goal, and I think the goal of my parents was to be happy, to find happiness in the things that I was doing. So I don't think there was any grand aspirations of becoming someone in particular, more so than finding my authentic self within my life journey. And I think being Hispanic, we come from a very rich culture. And so I knew from a very early age, I loved color, patterns, and simply being able to express myself creatively, which was a good reason why I actually pursued fashion school. And that's where I went with. That's where I went as far as my my education, my background, which is very different from what I'm doing now.
Okay, that sounds great. That's really cool. That's a very interesting path. And I think something that you mentioned about I didn't know specifically what I wanted to be. I just knew that I wanted to be happy. I think that's amazing. I think sometimes we put too much pressure on kids and tell them oh, you have to be this in order to be happy or successful, when in reality you can find happiness in whatever you do. And oftentimes the things that you're more passionate about are the things that you're going to love doing more and you're going to be more happy with. So can you speak a little bit more about your fashion experience with fashion and how you got into that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I come from an immigrant family, and so many come with trades. And our trade, as far as my mom, my grandmother, my mom, my sister, and myself, we always created clothes, our own clothes. We come from very little means, and so we had to actually make our own dresses and do our own pants and hem our own pants. And so I think that always called to me. I took a couple of classes when I was in middle school, and so it just became a hobby that I took on as a career. so it grew from there. Yeah.
That's really cool. I was wondering, what does mental health mean to you and why is it important to you?
Sure. I think mental health is human health, as it affects how we think, feel, and act. We talk about our five senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Mm-hmm. However, without proper mental health, none of it matters. That's how powerful and how meaningful mental health is, and why it's so important to end the stigma behind it. So that's what it means to me.
Yeah, I really resonate with what you said. I think without mental health, you can't have physical health, and vice versa. It's just one collective thing. And yeah, I agree with you on the fact that we must really break away from the stigma and just do away with it. I think it's a pretty big barrier.
The more we advocate, the more that we seek into services, or that we receive the care that we need, we pursue that sense of, I guess, that human sense that we all need to come together. I think that obviously it's important to advocate to end the stigma behind it, behind mental health. But as we begin to advocate, we learn more about the importance of the services that not just NAMI provides, but the services that the community needs in itself, because it is so powerful. The human mind is so powerful, and we really need to be able to advocate not just for ourselves, but for others, in the sense that our mental health is what moves us on an everyday. It's what brings us, it's what can take us high, and it's what can take us low. And putting light onto those issues that matter most is really important. So I know that the work that you do and the passion that you do, and bringing that sense of youth into those conversations is really helpful, in the sense that it's advocating, it's bringing support into something that is so important.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think said about just finding happiness, like that's the ultimate goal. I think really, like, nothing can bring you happiness if you're not prioritizing your mental health. Then you can't find happiness in other hobbies or material goods or whatever it might be. I think the inner work is really what has to happen. And when we have barriers like stigma that are debilitating us from finding that happiness and prioritizing our health in general, I think that's really detrimental.
I agree too.
Yeah. Okay, so just bouncing off of what you said about stigma, do you believe that stigma is the greatest mental health barrier facing youth today, or is there something else, or maybe a couple of things that you see as a barrier?
I think some of the barriers we're seeing among specifically youth, because we're talking about youth today, is proper access to mental health services and resources, which is again why NAMI plays such an imperative role in terms of support and education. So it's to increase mental health education in order to be able to focus on those disorders that we've seen within the last several years increase, which is anxiety, depression, including suicide rates. Have skyrocketed, not only impacting individuals, homes, and schools, but also our community. So we begin to see a lot more homelessness. We begin to see a lot more resources being impacted by mental health. And so not just that they're being debilitated as far as the resources being debilitated, but we begin to see the impact that it's having because of those increases in those resources not being able to be available because of the impact. So those are a lot of the barriers that we begin to see.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think accessibility, even cost of mental health care, stigma are just really big barriers that we definitely need to combat. So earlier we talked a little about like stigma and just normalizing the conversation around mental health, whether that's through education or awareness. I think you just talked about how disorders such as anxiety and depression have really increased specifically after the pandemic or even throughout the pandemic, and kind of having that education on the disorder specifically would help in many ways. Could you talk a little bit about what you think specifically we should be educating youth on and how it would help them kind of just normalize the conversation around mental health in the way that, not to normalize, like struggling with your mental health and kind of just suffering and struggling, but kind of normalize resilience and seeking support and uplifting youth to access the resources that they have or support their peers when they're struggling mentally.
Yeah. I think that some of the really good support is being able to communicate, being able to talk about what is impacting the youth. So them having a safe space to be able to find that sense of support and community. It'd either be with LGBTQ community, with it being just different types of communities that you can find a safe space where you can speak and you can share your sense of anxieties or depression, and then being educated on ways to deal with those type of disorders or type of situations. I think it's really important, but I think that you said it best. It's normalizing that sense of conversation with people and being able to talk about it. Being said, I feel that too. I understand that. You can empathize with someone by being in their own shoes, much of the time, but at the same time, you can empathize with someone just by listening, because you know that they're coming from a place of understanding, or not just a place of understanding, but a place of needing support. And so I think it's having those sense of conversations where it's important to be able to end discrimination and the stigma, and being able to have that voice. And so that safe space where it's like, yes, I can create a support group in my school about mental health, and ending that sense of stigma behind it, because it is important. It's imperative for us to be able to do that, in order for us to feel joy or be happy. But having that voice or feeling that sense of comfort. And I think a lot of our youth, I think with social media, it kind of gives us that space where we don't really have to interact, but we can do a post to express ourselves. We can take a picture of something beautiful and post it because we're feeling beautiful that day. So we found like so many different outlets to be able to express ourselves. But at the same time, I think that that we do that, but at the same time, I think it's important that we let others know that it's okay for them to do that. It's just like pronouns, right? When we're expressing our pronouns, we're not just saying who we are, but we're giving someone else the opportunity for them to also express themselves and to know that we're in a safe space. And that's why it's so important to be able to feel comfortable within our own skin, to be who we are, and to accept ourselves. So definitely those support groups, that sense of education. There's NAMI provides different types of educational programs, such as peer-to-peer support. There's different educational programs that NAMI provides. And so being active or staying involved, just as you are, volunteering, understanding and taking the classes, knowing that there is support for you out there, or for us, to be able to live a normal and healthy life. I think those things are important. So these programs that we're running free of cost is really important to be able to support not just different health initiatives that come in through the government sense, but also on a personal initiative.
Yes, yeah, I definitely agree with you. And Yesenia, you talked a lot about just the power of conversation and kind of fostering that sense of empathy and understanding. I think that's very, very important, because without that, we kind of feel like we're alone and we're isolated, and we don't all that we're feeling is kind of unique to ourselves and we're never going to get out of it. But when we see other people who feel what we feel, that gives us a sense of not only community, but just like kind of hope. It sparks hope. It provides you with kind of a little bit of light that this isn't something that I'm suffering with alone, and I can get better. There is hope. And I think that's very powerful. You also talked about like the NAMI resources like peer-to-peer. And I just want to mention that if anyone is listening and if anyone is interested, you can find that on our website, NAMI Santa Clara. Put that into Google and you can find it. It's there for you. Definitely use it.
Yeah, I believe so too. Yeah, I think those type of support is really important. And I think NAMI provides a really good resource as far as feeling that we're not alone. There was this, I had gone to a support group, and one of the participants had said, I walked into a room and they were having troubles with the computer system. And when I walked in, they asked me, can you help me fix it? Do you know how to fix it? And I was so embarrassed to say, no, I can't help you because I don't know anything about computers. And instead he's like, I tried helping to fix it because I didn't want to make myself look bad. And then realized, then soon after, the other person that was there said, you don't know how to do it either, right? And the participant said, yeah, I don't know, but I'm trying. He's like, okay, well, let's do it together. We don't know how to fix it. We don't know what's wrong with it, but we can do it together. And if it's not fixed, it's okay. Life is going to be okay. We will continue to try it in a different way. But I think that being honest sometimes, that it is okay not to have all the answers. It is okay not to know, but still being able to provide help and support is important.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of learned when he was telling me, I kind of learned to always be my authentic self and to listen and to learn that there's other people just like me that might be coming from a place of uncertainty, and it's okay to say, I don't know what it is exactly that I'm feeling. I don't know if it's okay exactly what I'm going through, but I do need help and I do need support. And I find that so amazing among our youth nowadays, that they're so empowered with so many resources, and many of them do find that sense of support and outlet to go to these support groups, to be a part, to grow, and to advocate for others. And I think that's what's going to make a change within mental health.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that kind of story you told about it's okay to not know the answers. I think that's so important, because even with the stuff that we were talking about with like promoting mental health education within youth communities, I think the purpose of that, or at least I believe that the purpose of that isn't to, tell you the answers or tell you if someone is feeling this way, then say this to them or give them this type of support, because it's not always black and white. I think the purpose is just to kind of promote that sense of awareness and understanding that this is something that is common and this is something that you may go through in the future and you may not. But either way, it's really important to understand. And I think even if you're not struggling, even if you don't feel maybe bad, or you're just not struggling with your mental health, you're happy, you feel good, that's great, but I still think that mental health education is important either way, whether you're struggling a lot or not at all, because at the end of the day, it equips you with so many supports and so many resources and coping mechanisms that aren't just used for, like dealing with a mental health issue. It's used throughout everyday life. Like Yesenia talked about fashion and how that's an outlet. That's not necessarily, if you go to a class, they won't tell you fashion will make you happy, but it does tell you that, finding that kind of way to express yourself will make you happy. And exploring that on your own, whether you're struggling or not, and implementing it in your life just helps your overall like happiness. And it doesn't even have to be if you're struggling with mental health.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's really
There's
important.
a really new thing that is so important nowadays that we didn't have before. And that's the idea behind taking a mental health day. And we hear that like often, like, I'm taking a mental health day today. I'm taking a mental health day, and I need to take a mental health day in order to function tomorrow. And it's so important. It's so important to be able to do that, because we're not always in that mental state to be able to function. Like, oh, but you have to function because you're human. You function every day. Like, you have a brain, you have, yes, you can. But sometimes there's so much and it's so heavy that taking that mental health day is it's a little thing. It's taking that half day, taking that time for yourself to be able to regroup. Just like we restart our phones, just like we restart our computers, sometimes we need a restart, and we need that mental health day. So I think that those are like, it's a newer concept that I am totally 100% in on. And it's like taking care of ourselves, Yeah. Having that sense of self-care, like you mentioned.
I have a quick question about what specifically you do at NAMI. I know that you are the events manager, but I was wondering if you could provide us with a little bit more information on what that entails.
Yeah, absolutely. So my role at NAMI as the events manager is to promote and advocate for mental health services for all, to help reduce the stigma and discrimination behind mental health services, and basically improve the services within the community by working with mental health professionals, public organizations, and families. So that's kind of my role here at NAMI.
That sounds great. I think that's a very important role to have. And I'm so excited to see what you do and all of that. Just stay up to date with that. That's so exciting to me.
And I'm fairly new. I think that this is, I want to say it's my first month. I've only been in this role for about a month now, which is really great. I think when I found NAMI, it just aligned in values, and the belief and satisfaction my role has in helping others achieve equitable services and treatment for mental health is meaningful and is personally important to me.
Yeah.
On a more individual level.
Yes. Yeah. I think in that ultimately, like having that viewing what you do as important as and fulfilling, I'm sure, I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but I think that is very fulfilling. And I think just having that connection between your work and your personal values is something that definitely might bring you happiness. Would you say that's true?
Oh yes, absolutely. I remember when I read the job description, when I went onto the NAMI website, and it was already, a lot of it was what I was doing already. I come from the corporate field, so I was doing events, and so it was all similar. However, what was missing was the value, was the mission and the drive behind it. So I remember reading through the job description and feeling that sense of, oh wow, I want to be part of this. This is big, and I want to be able to be a part of it. So I was so happy when I got on board, and I'm still so happy. I'm excited every day that I come in, that I get to be a part of NAMI and be a part of advocating for others, for families, for mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really great. I think what you said about like being able to resonate with NAMI's missions and values, I think that is important in choosing what you do for your work, but also like personally, youth, I feel, are kind of in this transitional stage where they're deciding what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Like, what do I want to major in college, or what do I want to do as work? And would you do you have any like words of maybe encouragement or any advice on kind of like picking something that resonates with you?
Yeah. Well, I think that finding that sense of happiness is really important. I think that we're going to go through like different life journeys. And like you said earlier, there's really nothing said in black and white. I think having that door open, your life journey is just that, is being able to keep that door open of accessibility, to be able to maneuver yourself in different areas until you actually find yourself. You might think, I changed my major 5 times. I don't know if I'm the best person to say anything, because I went from like marketing to administration to humanities, to communication, because I was just filled with so many different ideas, and my mind was in so many different areas that I really couldn't grasp that I needed to concentrate on one. And I think really what I was looking for was a sense of fulfillment, a personal fulfillment. So I guess when I'm speaking to youth, I think that it's we always want to find like the right answer, right? Like well, I want to go into sociology, and that's what I've always wanted to do. And it's great that you find yourself in a place at such a young age, where you can already see your future and know that's exactly what you want to do. And that's wonderful. But I think giving yourself the opportunity to explore other avenues that might be a lot more fulfilling is also so important. So I think that in encouraging, or in those talks with our youth, is just to say to go easy on yourself and to enjoy the journey, to be able to be completely happy in life. Yes, maybe you'll need to be successful in everything that you do if that's what drives you. But if what drives you also isn't the sense of financial success or stability, finding that sense of happiness within you, I think, is really important. And so that's why I'm like, well, I went through so many different types of majors that that for me, I think finding peace within me was understanding or knowing that I was going to be okay, with wherever I was in life. And so, yeah, so I think that that's maybe the message that I'd like to send out to you, to our youth, is to know that you're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And just to enjoy the education, enjoy the knowledge, enjoy the growth, to listen and learn, and to also provide support to others. I think we think about life and we think sometimes life is so hard on many different levels. However, I think the importance of life is to also know that it doesn't have to be as hard as we think it should be. We just have to try and enjoy it. And there's different ways of doing that. And so I wish, that's kind of my advice to our youth, is to go easy on yourselves.
Yeah, that's really important. I think there's so much pressure sometimes to choose one specific thing, but as you mentioned, it's hard. It's such a hard process to say, like, this one thing is ultimately going to give me the most joy and happiness. And that's almost like not the case for many people. And it's usually not the case, I would say. And I think just giving yourself the time and space to just explore and do the things that make you happy. And if something's not making you happy, stop it, because your happiness is most important. And like we talked about earlier, that inner work is really at the end of the day going to help you feel the happiest. It's not a job, it's not a major, it's how you take care of yourself, I think.
Yeah, I agree too. And I think respect, I think we probably didn't touch enough on it, but I think respecting the sense of the different generations that are coming in to advocate and to do the work and do the support. We're seeing different generations just coming together to do that. And we think, oh, because they are a different generation, they're older, we provide them with respect. But sometimes those generations don't completely have all the answers, or we expect a certain type of reaction, or we expect that they might know, but we really don't, and we're also learning. And it's that sense of community or working together. I think when it comes to mental health, that it's not because you're older or because you're younger. I think it's just a sense of respect. We're all coming in together to learn, to understand that mental health is so important, and that we really need to work together in order to drive it to a different level.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all are humans. We all have mental health, and coming together will really just allow us to get a better, like, bigger picture and collective idea of what we're needing as a general community. Yeah. Okay. So I've heard of NAMIWalks, and would you like to give us some more information about what that is? Like, what is NAMIWalks? What does it entail?
So NAMIWalk is a 5K walk to raise funds and contribution to mental health, while also playing an active role to improve our community. This year it'll take place on Saturday, October 7th, History Park of San Jose. And we are super excited to commemorate and amplify our voices for mental health, along with all our friends and family. We'll have keynote speakers, informational booths, good food, games, and lots of fun. You're all welcome to come and join. We also understand that not everyone can give because it is a fundraiser. However, everyone can participate together, and we can make it another memorable event dedicated to all people for all reasons when it comes to mental health for all. So if you're interested, registration is now open, and you can visit NAMIWalks Silicon Valley to participate and stay updated on the NAMI Walk. And you don't necessarily have to walk the 5K. It doesn't matter how far it is or how short it is, as long as you participate and you join us, because it's so important.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to just seeing where we go with NAMIWalks. I view it as like a really, not only like a fun event with all the yummy food, the informational booths, all of that. I think that's going to be super fun. But I also think that it's just a very, very good way to get everyone together under the greater goal of, like, driving that mental health change, and just a community of people who are interested and passionate about like prioritizing your mental health. I think that's a really great and safe space to be in. If you would like to learn more about NAMIWalks or just NAMI of Santa Clara County in general, feel free to view our website. Just search up NAMI of Santa Clara County and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at NAMI Santa Clara to stay up to date with NAMIWalks and what we're doing as an organization. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.